Books, books. I like books. I'm gonna read them all. Hi readers, Chris here. Welcome to my channel where I review fantasy, Stephen King, all sorts of books, and today I'm going to be talking about a book that is in the running for favorite book of the year already, and that's going to be Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I have been wanting to read this book for a while, ever since I read Shadow and Bone, because I felt like Shadow and Bone, that series, was okay, and everyone kept telling me, Six of Crows is so much better, Six of Crows is so much better. And then I saw the show on Netflix, and I was like, wow, those characters seem like so much fun. And then when I heard a second season was coming out, I was like, okay, I need to read this book. I need to read it. I need to see if the hype is real. I need to understand what everyone is talking about. And everyone was right. This book is phenomenal. Out of all the books that I've read by Leigh Bardugo so far, which are the 3 Shadow and Bone books and then her adult books, Ninth House and Hellbent, I actually think this one is my favorite, and I'm going to tell you why. So here's my super quick setup in case you don't know anything about this world. So in this world, the Grishaverse, there are magical beings called Grisha, and they have different powers. There's different types of Grisha, and they have different types of powers. So for example, there's heartrenders and healers. Heartrenders can affect like people's bodies. There's people who have fire powers, etc., etc., etc. Now, this particular story kind of takes place off to the side from where the main Shadow and Bone series takes place. So there's this island called Ketterdam, and on this island is kind of like, think in your mind like a pirate port, where like you can get anything you want with the right price. So it's full of bars and houses of ill repute, and people spend a lot of money to do all these different crazy things. It's full of thieves and beggars and liars and all this crazy stuff. And in this setting, we have what is known as the Crow Club, and the Crow Club is run by this young guy named Kaz Brecker. So Kaz runs the Crow Club, and he has a bunch of little, we'll say underlings or minions for now, that he works with to achieve different things. And it's like his dream to be like basically the leader, the head honcho of what they call the Barrel, which is kind of like the underworld of Ketterdam. He wants to be the person that's in charge. He wants to be who everyone has to come to and pay money to like do stuff. Like he wants to be the king of the underworld in Ketterdam. But in order to achieve that, he needs a couple things, like resources and money. So when he gets an offer to do a job, a magical heist, of course, he's like, yes, I'm going to do it because the money that I get from this job will make my dreams come true. So that is what this book is all about. It's a magical heist. I mean, first of all, how cool is that? Do you really need to know any more? But let's talk a little bit more about the world building. So like I just mentioned before, the Grishaverse is a magical world. However, a majority of the characters in this book don't have quote-unquote magic. There are some Grisha characters, which I will get to later on, but the majority of the characters, Kaz and most of his gang, are kind of just regular people. They don't have these fancy Grisha powers, so they really have to get by on like their trades, their ingenuity, and their skills as thieves and spies and sharpshooters and electronical things. So that part's really cool. I loved seeing this different side of this world. Because, like I mentioned, the Shadow and Bone books take place on a different continent, and in that continent, everything is all very much about the Grisha and the armies and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In Ketterdam, because it's an island nation, it's a lot smaller. Like, it's a totally different setting. It has a totally different vibe, a totally different feeling to it. And I think Leigh Bardugo does a really great job really bringing to life this underground. Like, on one hand, it's supposed to be like this seedy underground, but it doesn't really feel that seedy. Like, it does, but instead of feeling like a place that's like gross that you want to stay away from, she brings you in and makes it feel like it's a place that you want to be a part of because it's fun, if that makes any sense. So that's enough about the world building for now. And now I'm going to move on to the characters. And this is where this book truly shines. This book truly shines with the characters. If you know anything about me, I love a book with strong character development, and this book definitely has it. There's basically 6 main characters in here. We have Kaz and then the rest of his crew. Part of me wants to talk about each of them individually because all of them are so great. All of them are so great. Okay, maybe if I keep it down to a minute each, I can quickly talk about the 6 members of the crows. So let's start with Kaz. First of all, I already talked about him a little bit in the beginning. He wants to be the king of the underworld. Kaz has the most tragic backstory I've ever read. Maybe not ever read, but he has such a tragic backstory when you find out his history and what happened to him in the past and the reasons that he does what he does. It just makes him such a tragic character, but it also makes him endearing at the same time. And it's he's one of those characters that you just want to wrap your arms around and give a hug to. Even though Kaz probably wouldn't like that. He's not much on the physical affection thing, but I love him. I love him. He might be my favorite. But there's a couple other favorites as well. Moving on to Inej. Inej is what's known as the Wraith. So Inej originally worked for we'll call it a house of ill repute. But she ends up in Kaz's crew because he pays for her to get out of this situation that she's in. And Inej is this acrobatic spy. Think of Avengers Black Widow. She can sneak up behind you in the dark. She can kill you with the snap of her fingers. She's great with weapons. She's great with fighting. She's great for scaling buildings. I mean, all around, Inej is absolutely a phenomenal character, a phenomenal star. And I love her particular code of ethics. That is one thing I really love about Inej. And then there's Jesper, who I always want to call him Jasper, but Jesper. So Jesper is the sharpshooter of the gang. And it was very interesting because, like I said, I had watched the show first before I read the book. And I feel like in the show, in the Netflix show, Jesper is much more flamboyant and has a louder personality. He still has that a little bit in the book, but I feel like it's not quite as loud, if you will. Jesper is a really interesting character, but I feel like he doesn't get interesting until the end of the book because Jesper has some hidden secrets, some hidden depths to him that you don't find out about until much later. So earlier in the book, he's not as interesting as some of the other ones, but again, still an amazing character. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And then we have Nina and Matthias, who I feel like I kind of have to talk about them together because their storyline is basically the same. So Nina is the one, Grisha on the team. She is a heart render, so that means she can affect people's hearts and stuff. And Matthias is a Fjordan. And Fjorda is this country way in the north that hate people with magic. They hate Grisha. So they go out into the world and they try to capture them, bring them back to their country where they're put on trial for being, witches and are basically put to death. So Nina is captured by Matthias and his crew. This happens before the events in this book. And then there's this shipwreck that happens and Nina and Matthias are the only ones that survive and they have to rely on each other, two people that hate each other, to survive. So it is very much an enemies to lovers type story. But as of the beginning in this book, they are not in a good place. They are not in the good place. They've more or less gone back to being enemies when this book picks up. But again, their relationship, their back and forth with each other, their hate to love, and back and forth again is, again, amazing. It is amazing. They are two people that are from two different worlds that should probably never be together, but for some reason, it just works. It just works. I love Nina. I love Matthias. I love their romance in this book. I love where it goes. I love where it doesn't go. It's got tons of twists and turns. Their relationship is definitely one of the highlights of this book. There are 6 members. There is one more, but I feel like the 6th member isn't quite as important as all of the other ones, so I'll just say another great character, another fun addition to the team. There is no character in here that is not fully developed, fully realized, and deep and complex. So now let's get into the actual plot of the book. As I mentioned at the beginning, this book is a magical heist. If you've ever seen a heist movie, if you've ever read a book about a heist, this book follows that formula to a T. It follows the formula to a T. The characters are constantly getting into situations where you're like, oh my God, how are they going to get out of it? And seeing how they get out of it is, oh my God, it's what makes reading this book so much fun. Because in the beginning, even though Kaz brings them all together, they're not really a true team. They're 6 individuals who are going off on this heist mission with their own agendas. But throughout the course of the book, you know, they do turn into an actual 6 of Crows team. And seeing that happen and the way that it happens is just, it's so much fun. It's so enjoyable. I was on the edge of my seat at times going, how are they going to get out of this? I know that there's a sequel to this book, and like I said, I've seen the show, so I know they survive, but not knowing how they were going to survive and how they were going to get out of all of these situations was so much fun. So much fun. And even from like a story structure perspective, the way that this story is structured is that every chapter is told from a different character's point of view. So like one chapter will be Kaz, one will be Inej, one will be Nina, etc., etc., etc. And even though there are so many of these main characters, Leigh Bardugo does such a good job of making sure that every single one gets like equal amount of time, gets equal amount of love and care. Like, wow, it's truly impressive. I really don't know how, you know, some people can't even write a book with one good main character, and she's done it with 6. So, I mean, that is pretty impressive if you ask me. So yes, clearly I have been gushing about this one, but just to wrap us all up, this book has great world building, it's got amazing, phenomenal characters, and it has a super entertaining and fun plot. All of that together makes this book an absolute favorite of mine. It's definitely in the running for being favorite of the year, if not, maybe at least top 3, I know it's only May, but I'm calling it now. It's definitely going to end up very high on my list at the end of the year. That is all for now. So now I want to know from you, have you read 6 of Crows? Did you like it as much as me? Did you have any issues with it? And of course, let me know, who is your favorite crow in the comments below. My favorite crow is a Swiper. Hi, Swiper. Are you my favorite crow? Oh, okay. You're not. You're being shy today. Okay, we'll put you down. Swiper says she's sorry, but she's feeling a little shy today. But anyway, as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel for more bookish stuff and more furry friends coming soon. All right, everyone. Happy reading.